Matthew 22, Jesus said, to love your God with all your heart and with all your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. You know, when you have a relationship with God, you begin to find purpose in yourself. You begin to see the value that He's placed in you. And then you begin to like yourself. And when you like yourself, you can turn around and like other people. So you can give away what you have. You know, a lot of times we judge God, or we get a picture of the way God does things, maybe by the way we were raised. Maybe if your father was absent in the home, or you had a lot of strife in your home, it's difficult to grasp that God could love you unconditionally. Or maybe you had a wonderful, supportive home, so it makes it a little bit easier to understand this unconditional love. You know, I had a family who loved me and supported me, but do you know that I had to receive their unconditional love because my ways weren't always the right ways? I can remember when I was 16 years old and I was just beginning to drive. My father was in the kitchen one Saturday and he said, I'm going to make hamburgers. Could you run to the store and get a few things for me? And I said, absolutely. You know, I was excited about getting in the car and driving. So he said, okay, go straight to the store. And he said, I don't want you to roll down the passenger side window because it's broken and I'm going to have it repaired. He said, go to the store and come back. And so I said, okay, Dad. And out I went the back door. I went straight down to my best girlfriend's house and I picked her up. We went to the grocery store and on our way we saw some friends of ours walking down the sidewalk. And I said, oh, roll down the window and let's wave and let them see us driving the car. My friend looked at me puzzled and she said, I thought you said the window was broken. I was so caught up in the moment, I said, just do it slowly, it'll be okay. So we began to wave and yell to our friends, having so much fun. And as we drove off, my friend rolled up the window. And you know, it was as if the earth had just stopped for a moment. As I watched that window break into 1 million pieces. I looked at my girlfriend and I said, you're going home with me. I'll never forget walking up the driveway in total silence, trying to figure out how I was going to tell my father what happened. Walked in the back door and there he stood in the kitchen. And I looked at him and I said, Dad, I'm sorry. And I began to tell him everything that happened to me, everything that I had done. And do you know, I know my father was disappointed. I know he wasn't happy that I disobeyed him. But something very interesting happened that day. My father forgave me, and he loved me unconditionally. Do you know, he didn't hold that over my head. He didn't say the next time I asked him for the car keys, don't you remember what you did? Can I trust you? No, he loved me unconditionally. He did not judge the rest of my future by the mistake I made that day. And do you know there are people probably sitting in this audience saying, well, if that had happened to me, listen, I'd have never heard the end of it, and it would have been over. Well, I want to tell you something. Your Heavenly Father loves you unconditionally. He is not looking at what you're doing wrong. He's looking at what you're doing right. Oftentimes, we see our mistakes, we see our failures and our shortcomings. But God is saying, I see my child. They're learning and they're growing. You know, it's so easy when you make a mistake to run away from God. You know, the last thing you want to do is feel like that He is going to accept you. But I believe today that He's standing with His arms open wide. And He's saying, run to me. Do you know, it was just like that Saturday afternoon. I had to receive my Father's unconditional love. And do you know when I received His unconditional love, what that did for me? It kept my heart connected to my Father. And I was able to go back to my Father and find guidance for my future, find help. And I was able to stay in a relationship with Him, which was valuable to me. See, when we accept God's unconditional love, we stay connected to Him. Listen, we all make mistakes. We got to go to God, just like I did that day and ask my earthly father for forgiveness. We got to go to God and we got to say, God, forgive me for what I've done. But then we have to move on and we have to believe that He's forgiven us. And our mistakes are not dictating our future. He's not looking at those mistakes. He's looking at our milestones. He's looking at where we're going and how far we've come. Listen, don't take the baggage of the past into your future, because God has placed too much value in you. You are too significant to Him on this earth to be carrying around baggage that doesn't matter, that He's already forgiven you for.